Hello, today I'll be doing a facilitation on chapter 4, which is using verbal and nonverbal communication in groups. This chapter focuses on the key skills that group members need to communicate effectively with each other. So that would be listening, speaking clearly, and reading the body language of others, and also giving off the right body language to other group members. So let's talk about listening. Listening is more than just hearing. You need to it's an active process that you actively need to do when you're in groups. You often need to understand what other group members are saying when you're in a group, pick up on the emotions behind it, and evaluate or analyze the message that they're trying to get across. And sometimes the book talks about how sometimes people often struggle to listen because they're distracted, or they assume what people are going to say, or they're just thinking about what they'll say next. To be a good group member, you need to be able to set aside your distractions and focus on the contents of what someone's saying, and avoid interrupting and staying focused. It's also important to ask questions if you're unsure about what your group member is talking about. So verbal communication in the textbook, the words that you really use can shape how the group functions. If you use clear, specific language, it's easier to get your message across versus using things that could be seen as confusing to other group members. Using jargon or slang can also create misunderstandings in groups because not everyone will understand what that slang word is for or what that piece of jargon is for. Or it can be seen as offensive if somebody doesn't understand what you're talking about and they perceive it to mean something differently. The book also talks about racial language and just making sure that you don't say anything that can or always will be seen as offensive. And it's just important to be inclusive for everyone that's in your group. As for nonverbal communication, the book just talks about how most of the heavy lifting of communication is done with our nonverbal communication. Things like facial expression, eye contact, tone of voice, all of that type of stuff. Even how close you sit to someone can send a message about if you like them, if you like working with them, and it can kind of foreshadow the future of your group. For example, if you don't like someone and you cross your arms or you slouch and you sit far away from them, that gives the message that you don't like them. Whereas if you lean in when you're talking to them or smiling, that's when you seem more interested in what's actually going on. As I said before, your tone of voice, how high you speak, how low you speak, if you're speaking softly, if you're talking really loud to someone, also plays a big role in how your message is received in small groups. So it's very important to recognize that. And being aware of these nonverbal signals, as well as the verbal signals that we give off to other people in our groups, can help you better understand what's really going on in the group, as well as make you a better group member that listens and understands what's going on effectively. In short, to work well in groups, we need to listen actively and respectfully, speak clearly and appropriately, and be aware of how you and others communicate with each other. We can use these skills to help build understanding between group members, reduce conflict, and create a stronger, more productive group. Thank you.